All right, folks, welcome in on a Monday night at 6 o'clock Eastern Time here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. And for those of you who have watched my Miami coverage for years, you know that this guy hits home with me because he keeps it real. He tells it like it is. He bleeds the orange and the green, but still he knows what football means in the course of life, that it's not that important, but he still loves it, enjoys it, and wants the U to succeed. So we got Alonzo 1219, Hurricane Zoan. Man, how you doing?
I'm good, Mark. How's it going, man?
It's good. It's good. It's great to have you on here. As I tell you all the time, you know you're welcome anytime. You can
Oh yeah,
pretty much own this channel if you want. You can come on anytime you want.
I've told people that. Somebody said Mark Rogers doesn't even want you on his channel. I said, nah, that's not what it is. Mark is one thing that Mark does that I appreciate is he brings in, like, he brought me on when I was first starting out. He brings in a lot of young guys, and like I said, even though me and the host one had our disagreements, whatever, the young man is very talented. Um, and I enjoy watching him on Mark Rogers. You know what I'm saying? And it's actually helped him develop more of a communication skill. So when you have him and Cam Underwood, and then you bring it in Paul, I don't think that is necessary to have, you know what I'm saying, 30 Miami Hurricane YouTubers come on the channel. You know what I'm saying? I know you basically gave me an open invite for a long time. Like I said, you showed up to Orlando, like you were giving me an open invite. And like I said, I've told people we've had disagreements on Facebook about politics and all type of things, and that's what made us friends, was being able to disagree and continue to respect each other's opinion, no matter what it is. So um, that's one thing I've always appreciated. That's one thing I've always appreciated about Mark, is that Mark has always been that type of person to, whether you agree or disagree with what he say, he doesn't hold that personally against you. And I haven't disagreed with too many things Mark has said, but it's one thing that he called me on. He was like, I heard you didn't like. And he asked me, he's like,
That's
so
right.
I need you to come on and explain that. Because I explained it to him a little bit on the phone, but he's like, I need you to come in and explain that because I didn't understand. And sometimes we do that as a people, like not understand different cultures. And we do that as a people. So it's not a black thing or a white thing, anything. It's just not understanding a culture of a different of people. And I just think that in my personal opinion, he didn't understand the culture of it. And he invited me on to explain it. And I truly,
So,
because he didn't have to do that.
before you cut loose and explain your take on the chain and the culture and the origin, let me go through the conversation I had when I was on Pigskin Pete's channel, and I'll try to remember what I said. So sometimes I'm actually not great on remembering what I said, but I'll throw it out there, and you tell me
How you
if
not
I'm
great
pretty
on remember
accurate
what
on
you
what I
said?
said. What's that?
Because you remember everything. you
Oh, I
know
remember
every,
everything that everybody else does, and I remember every score in the world. Uh, and I'll start this out by letting people know what my approach to Miami football is. And really, it's no different than every other team. I just started a Miami channel and an Ohio State channel on the side, and I would like to start other channels. But uh, I try to cut it straight down the middle. I try. I don't pretend to be unbiased. I don't think that exists, but I try to be unbiased. And so I don't love Miami football. I don't hate Miami football. I try to bring the experts on. So I've brought on Zoe. I don't even know what the count is, 25, 30 times, I would guess, something in that range. I bring in Cam all the time. The Wholesome One was mentioned. Paul from Paul Scoop on the U. He came on a couple weeks ago, and others, to get the expert, the people that watch every play, that read about it every day, to get that expert take. Okay, then there's me, who I know about as much about Miami football as I do about Michigan or Wisconsin. I try to watch as much possible, read as much as possible, but I'm not an expert on Miami football. But I know the team. I've watched every game this year. I watch most of the games that are meaningful. I'm not going to watch them play Bethune-Cookman because there's just too many other big games on. But I'll watch 8-9 games a year. So I give my take, which is you're going to hear some praise, you're going to hear some criticism. It's going to be cut down the middle, a little bit of both, however I see it. And then what I started doing a few weeks ago is I'll bring on the opponent, Florida State, Clemson. And some people like that because they get a different perspective. Other people hate it on this channel to see Clemson commentators come on and analysts and Florida State. But I just thought, hey, if we're going to make this a Miami channel, and I'll do this with the other channels, we want to hear the other perspective as well. So now we'll get on to the turnover chain. So I didn't know that I was going to be talking about the turnover chain. The turnover chain, that's not something that I would talk about. Like, it's just not my thing. I talk football. I don't care what these kids are doing on the sideline. It just doesn't matter. But to me, I'm on Pixie and Pete's show every Monday. We do an hour on Mondays to wrap up the football weekend. He brings up the turnover chain. He says whatever he says about the turnover chain. This is what I remember adding to it. I think I did call it a gimmick, right? I called it a gimmick.
Yeah.
That hit you hard, right? And I didn't say that in like a mean way. Like, I hope you know that. It just came out of my mouth. That's how I said it. But I also acknowledged I'm an old guy. I don't get these things. My kids bring up stuff to me all the time that I would obviously not be interested in. So I'm an old guy that wants everybody to wear the same uniforms every game. I don't like the throwbacks, or I don't like the retro uniform. I don't like the alternate uniforms and helmets. I don't even like that stuff. But if that's going to draw kids to a certain school, great. And I could go through all sorts of stuff that there's no right or wrong to it. It's just personal preference that I don't get into because I just want to watch football games. What else did I say? I did give the U a lot of credit, and actually I was wrong in giving them credit because I guess the Alabama, their whatever they do came first, right? That's what I heard after that.
Talking about, what is it, the belt or something like that? The championship belt. I mean,
my take on Miami's, though, just to finish up, is just that Miami's the standard when it comes to this turnover chain. Like, everybody that watches any college football knows Miami's got a turnover chain and likes how they do it. And so I said, if you're going to do it right and be the one that everybody recognizes, as opposed to Florida State doing backpacks and all this other stuff that looks hokey and stupid. And I think that's pretty much what I had to say.
Yeah, if you look at me right, and I did this just for your show, this is actually a real Cuban link and a real Cuban link bracelet. This is the turnover chain. Didn't put it on for this show, but like growing up in the city, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially amongst hip hop culture, since I'm 44. So I've been legit since I was 10 years old. Like, when your first chain you got, the first thing that made you somebody in the hood was a rope chain, and if you really, really, really felt like you was somebody, a Cuban link. Every neighborhood I grew up in, from New York to Florida. So and even today, like even in today's the hip hop culture, which is probably the hugest, when it comes to marketing and everything, iPhone became popular because of the hip hop culture. They gave away iPhones to hip hop artists to where they had to buy music from iTunes. So they gave it to Jay-Z, they gave it to Kanye West, they gave them to Outkast, they gave them away just so they could show the Apple on the back and let people know that you had. So it's a trend, people follow it in that way. But Apple marketed it so well to where everybody is on Apple now because of the way they did it and the people that they have, who they had to use it. When it came to the Cuban Link, it's basically the same way, except it was never marketed. If there was a lot of drug dealers where I grew up at. Everybody, when you finally made it as successful in the street, you had a Cuban Link. This is what you had. This was your first big buy, was a Cuban Link. So to me, they got in touch with the inner city that's why Manny Diaz did the link. You could have did so many different things, but it's a reason why he did the link, because he understands how synonymous this chain is in the Black community. He understands how much this chain means in the Black community. Like I say, you can go look at any from the 70s on up. This chain has been synonymous in the Black community. It's almost a thing of success. I finally made it because I have this chain. So when Manny Diaz came up with the turnover chain, he put the Cuban link with the medallion. And you can go look at from hip hop videos from the 80s all the way to now. A Cuban link and a medallion is, I've made it. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not cheap. They're very expensive, and it's kind of exclusive. So when he did that in a smart way to get in touch with the kids from the inner city. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm 44 and I've had this and this for over 15 years. You know, and then like I said, right at $2,500 just for a 10-inch. You know, and like I said, it's something that it's almost like in Florida they had these things. They had the dunks, the Chevy dunks, deuce and a quarter. You know what I'm saying? The deuce and a quarters with the 30s and Vogues tires on it. You know what I'm saying? When you roll through the neighborhoods. So he basically picked something from Cuba that's definitely so he put the Cuban heritage in with the inner city kids. And it's a reason why they adapted to it so quick is because they know what it is. And if, like I said, you can look at any hip hop video, you can look at any basketball player, football player from the urban cities, and when they finally make it, one of the chain, the main chain that they get is a Cuban link. That's it. That's the number one chain that they get. After that, before that, everything else. But once you get a Cuban, that's it. And that's what it was to get in touch with the inner city kids to where they can throw on something that they could never have afforded a day in their life, something that they've always wanted to do. And that's why when you see them put it on, or that's why when you seen it made, you seen the excitement on the kids' faces, like, yo, look at the size of that Cuban. Like, look at the size of this Cuban link. Oh my God, because in the inner city, like that's all we had sometimes was material things that we could see, but we couldn't really grab. We couldn't really catch unless we basically were sold drugs or something like that. So to be able to reach and attain that, you know what I'm saying, as a football player, as a college player, it's not yours, but you got an opportunity to earn it and wear this couple $100,000 chain for a couple seconds. You know what I'm saying? It resonates with the inner city. Mm-hmm. And I remember talking to you about the lunch pail from Virginia Tech. And I know it's an old tradition, but it's not a gimmick. It's something that they put in, I don't know, maybe since the beginning of the Hokies. I have no idea. If Manny Diaz was the first head coach at University of Miami, maybe he would have started with a Cuban link. I don't know. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think that it's a gimmick. I don't think that it's something that's going away. I think it's something that's going to be there forever because it's synonymous with the Cuban culture and it's synonymous with every inner city in the country, every Black inner city neighborhood in the country. This chain is synonymous. So I think that's why he came up with it.
It's a great explanation. Something that, well, I would have guessed in knowing that in that culture that they like to wear gold chains, you know, certainly a lot more elaborate than this thing I got on. That's about
actually, no, not really.
Not really. About $60. I don't know what it was. I shouldn't say that. I have no idea.
They'll throw 4 or 5 of them on. I've had 4 or 5 of them on.
That's really old.
Different lengths, you know, with little charms on maybe 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah.
You know, but once you reach the Cuban status, that was the pinnacle. Now it was what size QB? That one was what size did you have? An 8 millimeter or 10 millimeter?
Yeah.
If you had a 15 millimeter, you were $15,000 into it. It's like bust down Rolexes. Like every rapper buy a Rolex and they bust it down, and it's not worth what it used to be worth, but they still throw the diamonds and all kind of stuff in it because it's basically a hip hop culture thing, man. Chug more beer. I don't have a beer on me now, Tatiana. $25 donation to Chug More Beer. So every time Chug More Beer donates when I'm on, I have to drink a beer. I have to at least drink some
That's the
of
deal.
the beer. So Chug More Beer. I'm gonna get my daughter to grab me a beer,
That's
and
the deal.
I'm gonna chug it down. Tatiana.
Chug, we appreciate it, man. He contributes over here a lot as well. And I'm going to go through and go through all the comments and the questions. We got, of course, a big game coming up against Pitt after the Clemson loss, and we'll talk to Zoe about that as well. You guys have heard my take enough. We'll get one from Zoe here, but Chuck Mo Beer, I'll get your super chat posted to the screen here in just a minute.
Yeah, he does it to me. He got me so drunk one night I couldn't take it anymore. I think he donated like 5 times back.
That's what it takes.
Almost because it took me forever it took me like 2 years to pronounce his name. And then when somebody basically broke it down for me, I was like, oh damn, I owe him a beer. So ever since then, every time he donate when I'm on.
I think I missed that one for a while too. I was like, Chug Mo Beer. Finally hit me one day.
So yeah, I owe that to Chug More Beer for always donating, and no matter where I'm at, you know what I'm saying. If I'm on somebody's screen, he donates. I owe that to him. He's a good guy.
So I'll get the football portion of this started this way. What you saw on the field Saturday night, how did that compare in terms of being competitive with Clemson versus what you expected?
All right. I didn't expect the offense to play as bad as the offense played, to be honest with you. I expected Rhett Lashley to come out with a better scheme. I don't think any of us is for Chug More Beer. I'm not gonna chug a whole beer, but
there it is.
I definitely expected. I don't think any of us expected 29 yards passing in the first half for D'Eriq King. I think that Brett Venables took him to school. I think that, and I said it, and I predicted Miami 31-27 as a fan of Miami. But if I was betting on the game, and I told people there's no way I would bet. There's no way, because it took Dabo Swinney 10 years to put that together. And we have a coaching staff that's been together for 8 months, and they have a coaching staff that's been together for 8 years. To me, they have the best college quarterback that I've ever seen in my life play college football, in Trevor Lawrence. So if I was betting my house on it, there's no way I would have bet on my team, Miami. But at the same time, I did not expect us to put up 29 passing yards in the first half and still be in the game, and then get 2 stops in the third quarter. Early in the third quarter, a fumble, and then another stop where it was a block, and we had the ball on the 50 and still not scoring any points out of it. I think that Brett Venables, who to me is the best defensive coordinator in college football, took Rhett Lashley to school. I don't think it's a bad thing though. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that Rhett Lashley got his ass handed to him because I feel like Rhett is a dog and he'll learn from it. But we lost to the better team. We lost to the better coaching staff, the team that was well more prepared, the team that's prepared for these big-time games all the time. And the one thing I told Miami fans, we kept looking at the Virginia game when they played Virginia, and I told Miami fans, they don't recruit Virginia. They recruit Florida, recruit Georgia. They recruit South Carolina. They recruit North Carolina. They don't recruit Virginia. They're going to come at us totally different than they came at Virginia. They're going to come at us with a better game plan. So was I upset with the loss? Not as much as I was upset with how we lost with our offense. Oh man, what in the world? Not upset with the loss, but more upset with how we lost and can we respond from it? I think Rhett Lashley will most definitely respond. I think it was it's hard to say a good loss. I think it was a humbling loss. I mean, people have to realize this is not something that Clemson has been doing for a year or two. They've been in every playoff since the playoffs have begun. So we can't expect to be better than Clemson with a coaching staff that's been put together for 8 months when they have the same coaching staff intact for the past 8 years. They understand how to coach. They understand each other, and chemistry is definitely on their side. And to have the Sith Lord as your quarterback is definitely a plus for Clemson. So it was a tough loss, but I don't see us losing any more the rest of the season, to be honest with you, because I think Rhett Lashley will be determined to not allow that to happen again.
So there's no Notre Dame on the schedule. You would think North Carolina and maybe this game against Pitt, maybe I'm missing somebody out there, would be the toughest games left. Virginia Tech, maybe.
So let me throw my earbuds in because my phone, when it rung, it kind of went kind of numb on me.
Sounds good. We appreciate everybody's comments, questions. I'll get to them. DT in particular making a comment about the wide receivers sucked. There are a lot of drop passes out there early in the season. There's no question about that. Mark Pope seems like he dropped about the first 4 or 5 passes that came to him this year. But I guess not getting separation at wide receiver, that was a little disheartening. I would have expected some plays out there.
I think our receivers, I think I don't know if it was our receivers not getting separation more than it was our receivers not being able to run different routes. It seems like we ran a bunch of go routes. Like we didn't run any dig routes. We didn't run any quick slant routes. We didn't use our multiple tight end set in the middle of the field. We didn't take advantage of their linebackers. It's like we threw a bunch of go routes and threw the ball at their DBs all the time instead of throwing the ball at their linebackers, challenging their linebackers. We didn't challenge their linebackers. So I feel like that was a big part of what happened as well. I feel like they should have thrown the ball at their linebackers. They should have challenged their linebackers, and I just don't feel like we did that as a team. I felt like we went for chunk plays almost. It was either a chunk play or try to run the ball with De'Eric. I also don't feel like we handed the ball off enough to Cam. I feel like we had 3 or 4 total rushing plays to Cam in the first half, which is unacceptable. I just feel like we were a deer in the headlights playing against a national championship program.
Does Shay Davis, does she comment to your channel, Zoe?
Oh yes, always.
Okay, I was going to say Shay just showed up here a couple weeks ago, and man, she instantly just I couldn't say anything right. She is all over me.
Yeah, I've seen her. I've seen her a few times. I think she's in a lot of channels now. I'm trying to figure out if that's the real her.
We're kind of losing you, though.
Very beautiful young lady.
There you are. We got you now. But we love everybody jumping on here. I see a lot of new names, a few new names, I should say, which is great. So I'll put the banner back up. If anybody's not familiar with Zoe, you got to check out his channel because he's talking Miami all the time. Alonzo1219, Hurricane Zoe. If you Google or search, I should say, on YouTube, either one of those terms, you're going to find him. But I'll put the banner up here in a second. And of course, keep in mind the super chat's on, and like the videos as well. I got to say that there were basically 4 reasons why I liked Miami to be competitive coming in. I didn't think they'd win, but I thought it would be a really good game going into the fourth quarter. Number one, D'Eriq King is the best Miami quarterback since when? Since who? What do you think, Zoe?
Ken Dorsey, to be honest with you, like Brock Berlin probably, but nah, Ken Dorsey.
Okay. Because I think Kyle was a good quarterback, but obviously he was a statue back there. So D'Eriq King brings a completely different element. Even though he's not a great passer, he's a good passer. He's a capable passer. So I thought, number one, you got a quarterback that, imagine the 2017 team with D'Eriq King at quarterback. Or if Brad Kyle would have stuck around even for another year, you're probably going 12-1 and not losing those 3 games at the end of the year. You're probably just going to lose to Clemson in 2017 with capable quarterback play. So the quarterback. Number 2, I didn't think it was necessarily going to matter in this game, but how many games have you lost because you couldn't make field goals? And now you got a stud kicking the ball from 55 at the end of the first half against Louisville. This guy's tremendous, Borregales. Number 3, Rhett Lashey's offense. There's a couple things that I noticed in the first few games, especially against Louisville, because they were supposed to be pretty good. Number 1, it was the first time that I'd seen watching the Miami game where they couldn't show the replay and get back to the next play in time because they were running enough tempo where the TV crew couldn't even show the replay of the last play before they had to cut and get back to the next play. So I thought Lashley's doing some things and getting those boys up to the line, and they're spitting out these plays and got the defense on their heels. Also, in some of these games, especially the Louisville game again, you could tell that he had a thought process to the play calling. He called certain plays to set up other plays. And the defense would get a look, and he was setting up the defense. And they haven't had that. And they also stomped on those 3 opponents, especially Florida State and Louisville, where they hadn't done that the last few years. Oh, I think we lost Zoe for a minute here, but I'll go through the live chat, and hopefully he can come back. We'll get him back in here. So that's why I felt good about the Canes going into the game in terms of keeping it competitive. But
I'm sorry,
no, you're good.
That phone call I got, I could barely hear you, so I had to come out and come back in.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
So those were the reasons. I don't know if you heard those, but those were the reasons why I liked Miami to keep it a game going into the fourth quarter.
I think it would have been a game. I think it was a game going into the third. I think it would have been. I just think that I have to give all the credit to Brett Venables, man. Like sometimes you just have to tip your hat to the better team and a better coach. And Brett Venables, he took Rhett to school. He took Rhett Lashey to school, and that's the bottom line. That's what happened. Nothing we did worked on offense. And you can be a Miami fan, you can blame this, you can blame that, you can blame this. But this is a young guy that went up against a guy that probably could be a head coach in the NFL, who was a hell of a defensive coordinator, one of the best I've seen in a long time. He's a Nick Saban, Monty Kiffin type of defensive coordinator. He makes things happen, and you're not just going to beat him. He's cut from Tony Dungy, you know what I'm saying, Monty Kiffin, Nick Saban, Jimmy Johnson. He's that type of defensive coordinator, and he's seen everything. So whatever you throw at him, he's already seen. I remember a guy saying the other night, I think a couple years ago, Alabama game. It's like he drew a play in the sand. Like that play, they didn't even have that play designed. He drew it in the sand to stop Alabama on a play. Like the guy is great. So when you have a coaching staff and a guy like Brett Venables, man, like you're not gonna just beat him. What LSU did last year was an anomaly, man. That doesn't happen to Clemson, and it doesn't happen to Brett Venables. He was one of the top coaches that I wanted at Miami when the coaching staff when it came open for when it came open for when before Mark Richt took the job. I had Brett Venables way ahead. I didn't even have Mark Richt on my list, but I had Brett Venables on my list. I had the Pirate on my list, Mike Leach. I had Mario Cristobal on my list. I did not have Mark Richt on. I did not want Mark Richt. I didn't want him. Didn't have him on my list, but I had Brett Venables on my list, and he was top 3. And it's a reason for that. This guy can freaking coach. And I knew that we were going to have our hands full by saying, well, the defense, the linebackers are slow. And I said the same thing. But great coaching understands how to cover up flaws in defenses. And he's proven time and time again that he's a great defensive coordinator. And you got to tip your hat to him. You got to tip your hat to Dabo Swinney. He lost 5 straight years, University of South Carolina. You know, people wanted him fired. I was working for ESPN and radio. People were calling in, "Oh, you gotta be fired." And he built that team. He built that program, and never had a number 2 recruiting class, number 3 recruiting class in both of his championships. But he built that team the right way, and you're not gonna beat a 10-year build in 8 months. It's gonna be tough unless they sleep on you. People think that they were going to sleep on us. Well, Syracuse beat them. A couple other teams. They don't look at Miami in the same way as they look at those other teams, because everybody in college football, every team in college football know Miami is one big win away from getting the number 1 recruiting class in the nation and being back on top. So anytime they play Miami, I don't care if Miami is good or bad, they want to. People remember when Miami used to beat the dog crap out of, so they want to do the same thing. They want to beat Miami bad. It's not, they go into that game looking like, if we do this in Miami, we get more recruits from Miami. So they don't look at us the way they look at a lot of other teams. You know, even though we haven't been a national power in a long time, they don't want Miami to become, a lot of the teams are afraid of Miami becoming a national power. Clemson knows if Miami would have won that game, what type of recruiting that would have, what kind of recruiting swing that would have gave Miami. I mean, Miami was the toast of the town with 3 wins. And it's, remember when we beat Notre Dame, everybody wanted to see Miami. Everybody wanted to see Miami. It's not about how long you've been out. It's about where they're located, and they know that it's a quick strike for Miami. So Clemson did what they were supposed to do and handle their business. I would love to see them in a national championship game, though. I mean, in the ACC championship game. And I truly believe that we'll be there, because I think they'll kill Notre Dame worse than they beat us.
So the only thing that could really get in the way, well, there's really nothing. They still hold it right in the palm of their hands to get to the ACC championship game. So if they win and take care of business, unless Notre Dame would go and beat Clemson, then you're going to need some help. But otherwise,
what conference are they in? Are they in the Coastal, or are they in the Atlantic? Where is Notre Dame at? Are they in the, like, what?
So everybody's stacked up. There are no divisions this year, though. Everybody's stacked up 1 through 15. So they're just taking the top 2 teams. So that's why if Notre Dame goes undefeated, then that's the only issue with Miami where they're going to have a problem, because Clemson's going to have 1 loss and they'd have the tiebreaker over the Canes, and Notre Dame would be in the championship. It'd be Notre Dame.
Watching Notre Dame play against Florida State, I don't see them sticking in it with Clemson at all. Plus, Brian Kelly's a hothead. He can't coach when he's mad. He cannot coach. I've never seen a guy blow his lid more. I think maybe Mike Dick.
Yeah.
Brian Kelly is a hothead. He cannot coach when he's mad. So I can see Dabo with the little Christian smile and one up in him. Dabo is a great coach. I love his story from how he progressed. And I wish Miami fans would, lay off of Manny a little bit and give him that opportunity to progress the same way. We're not the Miami of old, man. It's not going to take 1 year to put this thing together. But I do think I think if we play Notre Dame, we will beat them. I think we will beat them handily. I truly believe we will beat them handily. I don't think they don't have enough to beat us. Clemson, on the other hand, yes.
Notre Dame wouldn't.
No. I think we will beat them handily. I don't think they have enough to handily. I think we could beat them by 2 touchdowns.
Well, you are going to play North Carolina.
Yeah, and that's gonna be a tough game because just because even when they're bad, they play us good, and they're good. I sound dumb. I appreciate it. I appreciate that, Miss Shay Davis. Thank you.
we got dumb and hate going right now.
Marcus are hating, so you sound dumb. I think that's a picture of Halle Berry or something. So Shay might be a guy. Shay might be a guy. So
Yeah.
I mean, hey, call me dumb. I got to call you ugly. I don't think that's your real picture. But at the same time, I don't think Notre Dame is. I don't respect them because they never when do they win a big one? When do they?
What do you consider? So I always catch people on this one, Zoe, and I'm going to hold you to the same standard. Well, what do you consider a big game?
I consider at least a playoff game.
Well, at least there's not that many teams around winning playoff games. I think there's only like 6 teams that have ever won a playoff game.
Yeah, but Notre Dame is held in that stature.
Let's see.
Notre Dame is held in that stature. Like Georgia's held in a national championship stature. So if you're held in that stature, when Ohio State is held in that national championship stature, they're probably 50%, maybe 60, right? When Clemson is held in that national championship stature, they're probably 50%, 60. Miami's the same way. I think Miami's won 5 out of 9. We actually know Ohio State. We won that one. Y'all got that, but we won that one. Whatever. I'm go there. But Alabama's held in that stature. Notre Dame hasn't won a national championship game since before Rocket Ishmael, probably
88.
Like serious, but they're always considered they're like Texas. They're like Texas, like always perennial powers, but never perennial. Like I don't like Miami. We're taking baby steps right now. An ACC championship would be nice, but once you get the ACC title, there's nothing but national championship aspirations or bust to me. Period. It's a national championship aspiration of bust. And if you ask Clemson and Alabama fans, it's the same thing. It's a national championship or bust. Notre Dame they're given spots. Like they can be in the season ranked 130th and begin the season ranked number 9. It's like they're giving it to them, but they just Brian Kelly's just not just him. Every coach that they've had.
Am I going to have to stick up for the Irish a little bit here? They went 11-2 last year. That's pretty much what they've been doing here. Go 9-3, 10-2 every year.
That's success.
6 years of the playoffs, though. I just counted it up here. 6 years of the playoff. There's only been 6 teams that have won a playoff game.
And 2 of them is Alabama and Clemson. I think Alabama
Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia, Oregon, LSU.
I think Alabama and Clemson are only probably 2 teams that's been in every Clemson and Alabama probably the only team that's been in every playoff.
Well, they each missed once.
Oh, they
Alabama
did miss one.
Wasn't in last year.
Okay, yeah.
Clemson wasn't in the first one.
Okay.
2014.
So I mean, but to me, that's standard. Like Notre Dame is given to them. It's basically they hand them the baton and they drop it every year. So I just don't have no respect for that program. I don't think that program is, and it's not because of the history of the program. I just think that it's handed to them every year, and they seem to drop the ball. When it's time for them to win, they lose. I'm talking like you say, the 11-2, but it's typically the 2 they lose at the end of the year when they're about to get there, and that's what I mean. You know that choking syndrome.
Well, I just don't think they're quite that good. I think they're Penn State good. They're Michigan good.
A little bit better than Penn State. They're better than Michigan. Jim Harbaugh's he's an overrated coach. He's an overrated college football coach who cries.
I think Notre Dame and Michigan are pretty much on the same plane.
They could be. I hate to take Notre Dame over Michigan, but when it comes to Miami, I just feel like we are a very, like, we have a second-year head coach, a first-year offensive coordinator, first-year offensive coordinator. Because I was talking to Cole, and Cole said he believed that that Rhett called plays in Auburn, and I don't believe Rhett called plays in Auburn with Gus Malzahn there. But I believe this is his first time really calling plays in a Power 5 conference. And, like, the worst guy you want to go against your third time calling plays would be Brett Venables. I mean, you see what he did to Nick Saban. Like, to Alabama, why would you? I don't want to call plays against. You see it at Ohio State. I don't want to call plays against this guy. You know, he's a guy that I do not want to call plays against. He's your worst nightmare. And then having Trevor Lawrence, you know, the Sith Lord, the Darth Vader of, like, I just don't know where this guy. He was dropped from the starship. I don't know where this guy came from, but he makes every single throw. Every throw. And if people look at the beginning of the first half, they was like, well, you know, he was thinking and dunking. Yeah, because we played off. We played off, and he read the defense before he hiked the football. He read the defense, and he kept throwing the ball short. And as soon as we creeped up, he beat us over the top. That's what he does. And this is what he does. He's just that back shoulder throw is the best pass in football. And I was definitely worried about Trevor Lawrence. It still is. You know, he's a great football player. And a lot of fans don't want to give props to the other team, but at the same time, man, we lost to the better team and a better coaching staff. And that's not something to hang your head at. It's not something to hang your head at. It's not something to get mad at Manny Diaz and get mad at Rhett Lashley and get mad at Blake Baker and get mad at Blake James. That's not something to hang your head at. It's something to say, okay, let's see how we respond this upcoming week against Pitt. Let's see if we take care of business against teams that we're supposed to take care of business against. And that shows you what type of team that you're starting to build, what type of foundation you're starting to build. Because if we were to play Clinton, they were an 11-point favorite. If we were to play them again in the ACC championship game, they might be a 14-point favorite. I mean, it's not going to go down from the way they handled us. You know, Rhett is going to have to. Because our defense played, I'm not going to say great, but they played solid. They gave us opportunities to win. They gave us opportunities to be in the ball game. And our offense, once again, we scored 17 points. 7 of them was at the end of the football game. The other 7 was from a punt block return for a touchdown. And then we scored 3 on offense, basically. And we got the ball on like the 20-something yard line on that fumble in the beginning of the second half and did not score any points. No points off that. You know, and that was twice. And we got a block kick and did a tip kick and was still on the other side of the 50, maybe the 40, and didn't score any points on that drive. And we were only down, I think, 10 points at that time, maybe 13. So we had opportunities for our offense to, what was it? What was it going into the half? Was it 20-10 or
21-10?
21-10. So we got the ball back twice. Down by 11, we got the ball back twice on their side of the field. Only down 11 and got 0 points out of it.
And with that kicker, you should be able to just maybe get 1 first down and be able to get 3 at least.
Exactly. I mean, we got 0 points being down by 11 at the beginning of the third quarter.
You know who's becoming my favorite player on the Canes?
Oh,
Bubba Bolden.
I think Bubba's becoming everybody's favorite player.
Love watching this kid play. You know what I
Bubba,
watched? What I noticed against Louisville, and people sometimes, I shouldn't say people jump on me. One or two people have jumped on me through the years by calling these guys kids, and I shouldn't do that.
they're
Just,
kids.
it's
They're
just
kids.
habit. It's habit.
They're kids. I call them kids. They're kids.
I call them kids. But anyway, what I noticed against Louisville is that the Cardinals would throw these passes out in the flat, like the deep flat, and you wouldn't see anybody on the screen, and he would just do a beeline and just wrap them up. And he can tackle. I love guys that form tackle, and he's a form tackle guy. And then obviously what he did blocking these kicks, that's just coming off the edge like that with that kind of explosiveness. I love the unconventional plays in football. Like I love watching a good strip sack. I love watching a DN come around the corner and strip sack the quarterback. I love blocked punts. Love blocked punts. Those are fun to watch. And then, of course, blocked field goals, the same thing. And Bubba Bolden, for him to come off the edge and lay out like that and time that snap and explode like that, love watching that.
Miami isn't even close. Buck Squad, you probably a Gator fan. Didn't y'all lose this weekend? Miss me. Hashtag 1219 miss me. JD, and these are the comments that get me so upset. I wish Baker would have pressed more. We were down 11 points. 11 points. Got a turnover and a block. 2 3 and outs. Forced a fumble by Trevor Lawrence and a block punt and we got the ball on like the 40-yard line and scored 0 points. And you're still talking about Blake Baker. Those are the things that really, like, what are you talking about? How are you talking about Blake Baker and our offense could not score 0 points? And we got the ball on the 50, we got the ball like on the 30 and on like the 40 of Clemson and could not score a point. So I'm guessing you wish Blake Baker went out there and threw the ball and threw some touchdown passes too, right? That's not Blake Baker. You can't. That's another thing I notice about a lot of our fan bases. We get on social media, and once we find somebody to blame, I told people if the score would have been 10-7, and Miami was up 7 the whole game, 7-3, and they would have scored a touchdown on the last drive, it would be Blake Baker's fault. No matter what happens, if they lose, it's Blake Baker's fault. And I don't understand that. Like, he did his job. Trevor Lawrence threw for under 300 yards passing. When does this happen? He threw for under 300 yards passing, but we only had 29 yards passing on offense in the first half. How was that Blake Baker's fault? Blake Baker's a defense coordinator. $10 donation from Scott. Appreciate that, Scott. Scott be on my channel a lot.
Appreciate that, Scott. I'll get it to the screen and get your comment if you've got one as soon as I can. I usually get behind on these. I'm
the same way. People see it before I see it.
I try to post these to the screen as much as possible. But you're saying something that goes for sports, it goes for politics, it goes for whatever. People, if there's enough of a groundswell to blame somebody, then that becomes other people's opinion that had no opinion because they didn't really understand what they were watching. So they're like, well, if everybody's saying it's his fault, I'm going to say it's his fault too.
I can tell you what, you're a football historian. There aren't many teams. I don't know no team that's won a national championship or a Super Bowl that has been a blitz heavy football team. That's been predicated on blitzing because a good quarterback will pick you apart.
That's a great point because the great defensive teams, and that's typically what has won in football. Why do they win? Because of the defensive line. And if you've got a great defensive line, you don't need a blitz. They can get pressure with those 4. Sure, you still use a blitz but they're not like all out blitzes. They're like a 5th guy.
Yeah, they're in your packages, but so they get mad at him for not blitzing every down, but people don't realize. I keep telling people, the last 3 games of Manny Diaz's year calling defense, we gave up 2 touchdowns the first drive of every game. The first 2 drives of every game, because we blitzed so heavy and left our linebackers in bad shape, left our safeties in bad shape, and they beat us over the top bad. You went, and Blake Baker's doing it the right way. He's winning with his front 4, and our defense did. They scored 42 points, but if you think about it, like, the reason why they scored 42 points is partially because of the offense not being able to get no momentum, not being able to get 0 momentum. And when you get no momentum against a team like Clemson, that's going to happen to you. You know, this Blake Baker noise, especially from people who, and I get on fans. If you're not a season ticket holder, you're not a booster, I don't even think you have the right to tell somebody to be fired until you go to a football game. I don't even think you have a right to tell somebody to be fired if you're not support. Because who's gonna pay for those coach? When you fire a coach, you do know you have to still pay that coach, right? So you have to fire that coach and pay him, and bring somebody else in and pay him at the same time. It's real easy to say to fire somebody and then you're talking about firing the top 15 defensive coordinator. Like, what are we doing? Like, stop it. He did his job. It's not his fault that the defense was on field most of the game, because our offense was 3 and out every time we got the ball. We were 3 and out. And like I said, I'm not even mad. I'm not mad at Rhett Lashley at all. I'm not mad at Rhett Lashley at all, because he played against a genius at calling defensive coverage. He played against a great defensive coordinator. And I'm still very optimistic about this season. I love what's going on this season. I'm still very optimistic about this season. I still believe that I think we'll win out. I just believe we'll win out and have an opportunity to play for the ACC championship game. And get an opportunity to play these guys again and see what Rhett Lashley have learned. But at the same time, we playing against a great defense again this week in Pitt. So Rhett Lashley's gonna have to, we got to forget about what happened Saturday and get ready for this Saturday and play Pitt and beat Pitt.
There it is. Pitt lost 31-30 to Boston College on a missed PAT in overtime a week after they lost to NC State as a 14-point favorite. They won the 3 before that. Pitt had one of the best defenses in the country last year, a top 5 defense in yards per play, and they're really good this year. So they're a solid team. They're not a great team. They're a top 30 to 40 team.
They always have a solid defense, though, and they always give us problems. We got 200 in the chat tonight, Mark. Good. Congratulations.
Nice.
200 in the chat, man. Good job, man. Pitt is all, but they always have a good defense, and they always give us problems. But like I said, we just have to handle our business against Pitt, and the next big game, like you said, is North Carolina, and Matt Brown and playing against that offensive juggernaut that they have in North Carolina. But I don't believe in their defense, but their offense is pretty good. But I believe our defense can contain. I'm not going to say shut down their offense, because another thing that people don't realize in today's college football, with all the targeting, and we get caught with a lot of silly fouls, a lot of silly penalties, some that we shouldn't get caught with. But the way they spread the field out, it is hard to stop. It is hard to stop anybody in today's offense, even in the NFL. The way they spread you out, the way the rules that favor the offense, it is hard to stop. This is not even 2010 football. Rules have changed, and it is harder. It is harder and harder to guard players. So, but when we play against North Carolina, we're gonna have to. That's a game where I don't mind if our offense win a couple games for us and our defense get beat up a couple games. I remember Alabama getting torched by Texas A&M and what's his name, Johnny Manziel, twice, but they still won the games. And
they won one of them.
They won one. Johnny Manziel went for like 500 yards in both games. They could not stop him. Do you think Nick Saban cared about? Nick Saban wanted to win the game. Those things happen. Like, you're not gonna, even the greatest defenses, have teams that just match up.
Ole Miss went off on them Saturday night.
Yeah.
We'll see if they get that fixed.
I'm trying to figure out how Ole Miss isn't on probation. Are they on probation?
No.
How are they not on probation after the Laramie Tunsil incident?
Well, they were coming off probation. This is the first year that they're off.
That's all they got after the Laramie.
Yeah,
that was it.
If that was Miami last year.
If that was Miami, would have got death penalty 8 times. This guy was on. He said it on draft night.
Yeah.
If that was Miami, we would be playing Division III football. Like, that shows you the bias of the SEC. There is no way all of those Condici and all of those guys got paid at Ole Miss the way they did.
Laquan Treadwell, the Ole Miss suddenly just out of nowhere had like 4 number 1 position players in that recruiting class that year.
And it was 2 years in a row they had like top 5 recruiting classes.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
And if that was Miami, just imagine if that was Miami. Just imagine if that was Miami. Oh, we would be playing against the Citadel every week right now.
I covered Ole Miss football for 7 years down in Mississippi in the 90s, and they almost got the death penalty when I was down there.
I'm not saying they should have got a death penalty for this one, but when a guy comes on the NFL and say, "Oh yeah, they gave my mama some money," on the draft night, there's no way you can't give them at least they should have got one of the stiffest sanctions in the history of football, man. But SEC bias, that SEC bias, man.
They got a few scholarship hits and no bowl game for a year.
And Miami, and we had guys that got trips to the strip club in a yacht, and we was on probation for 10 years. I mean, come on. Are you kidding me? Are you for really kidding me? Oh, my God. If that's not – Mark, you can't tell me that's not SEC bias, man. Oh, my gosh. That's crazy. But, oh, well. That's why they'll never win nothing. That's why I'll never root for them. They'll never win nothing, because this is why I hate the SEC. This is why I hate the SEC, because there's only 1 or 2 good teams in the East, which is Florida and Georgia. And in the West, you have Alabama, Auburn. I'm not even going to consider LSU this year because they're getting their butts handed to them. But Auburn, A&M finally won a game. It's top heavy. It's top heavy. And the East has never been great. The East has never been great. Tennessee has never. Tennessee has never. The last time Tennessee, when was the last time there were 3 great teams in the East?
In the late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah. 22 years ago. Tennessee, Georgia, Florida.
That's it. And before then, before Tennessee got good, it was always Georgia, Florida.
Yeah.
That's why I say they're overrated.
I'm going to stick up for the SEC, and I don't even like the SEC, but I'm going to go to the mat for the SEC because I just think it's the best conference. I don't even think
a lot of people think it's the best conference because they put it out there like they are. But when you look at, I think the West is the best conference.
Well, you got to put them all together. You don't think the SEC is the best conference?
I think because of I think if it wasn't for the West, no. The East is garbage.
Well, but
the East is garbage. The East is garbage. Like, the East is
garbage.
They are garbage. They are hot garbage.
Compared to what other division in college football are they garbage?
Like, Tennessee is never good. Kentucky is good every 20, 30, 40 years.
Kentucky's been good.
Tennessee hasn't been good since Philip Farmer and T. Martin. Missouri came in and won the East twice out of the Big 10 or Big 12. South Carolina was good for a couple of years with Steve Spurrier. Who else? No, they're garbage. They're hot garbage. They're hot garbage.
Do you think the ACC Coastal's better than the SEC East?
Yes. Yes,
Really?
I think well, I'm not gonna say better. I think Miami or North Carolina could beat Georgia or Florida. Georgia would be the best team out there. I would give it to Georgia. But that's all I would give every other game a toss up. I think Duke would beat Tennessee. I think Duke would beat Tennessee.
Duke would beat Tennessee.
Yes. Yes, Duke would beat Tennessee. Who has Tennessee not lost to? Like Duke would beat Tennessee, yes. I think the best coach is on Duke. I'm serious. I'm being honest with you. I think Virginia Tech would beat their third or fourth best team. I think Georgia would be the best team, period. But then Miami almost beat Florida last year. And we had Dan Enos as the offense coordinator. Yes, I think we would beat Florida. Didn't Florida just lose this week?
Sure, to another SEC team.
Yeah, but A&M ain't won a good game. A&M ain't won a game. They've been SEC. First game. That's the first. What Johnny May say on my bad.
I just can't see.
So you don't think Miami could beat? You don't think Miami could beat Florida?
Oh, sure they could beat them.
I think Miami would be favored against Florida.
No,
I think it would be. The only thing Florida has is a solid defense, and they really don't have a quarterback. They have a good tight end.
Florida doesn't have a quarterback?
They got an okay quarter. He's not. He's over. He's that guy's
not. He's a good quarterback.
He's okay. He's not better than De'Aaron King. Matter of fact, every time they mention him as De'Aaron King's backup.
Sure, in high school, things change. I think Florida and Miami's talent is very comparable, and I think if they played 10 times, I'd say it'd go 5-5, and if anybody won 6, I'd go Florida. I give Florida an edge.
I wish they would play us. I wish they would stop running from us, and then we could see it.
Well, they play Florida State every year. If they played you guys every year, then
Florida State plays us every year. Florida State
in the conference.
No, Florida State played us every year when we weren't in conference.
That's when you were independents and you'd play whomever you want.
When we're in the Big East, Florida State played us every year.
The point I'm making is that if Florida plays Florida State every year, if they played you every year, then they would never have room to go play anybody else. Do you follow me?
You know about Bowden said? They asked Bob Bowden, why do you play Miami every year? He said, why do you play Miami every single year when you don't have to? You could win more than. He said, because if I won a national championship without beating Miami, it would not be considered a national championship if I did not win the state of Florida. That's what I'm talking about. Florida played us every year until we started winning, until we took control of the matchup. Then they stopped.
Bobby Bowden was saying that because he was an independent and they could schedule whomever they wanted.
But he also wanted to win the state of Florida. He knew he couldn't win the state of Florida without just beat Miami and Florida. Every national championship that Florida State won, they beat Miami and Florida State. And Florida. Same thing with Miami. Florida can't say that because they're a bunch of Mitches who are afraid to play us every year.
Well, the point I'm making is that Florida plays in a conference, so they only have 4 non-conference games. And if they already play Florida State every year, if they schedule you every year,
what's wrong with that?
Then they can't go play anybody else.
Yes, they can. They got 2 more. They got 2 more non-conference games they can play.
Well, no, but nobody's gonna play Florida State, Miami, and Michigan in a non-conference schedule.
They don't have to schedule
an SEC schedule.
They can schedule Bethune-Cookman, and they play SEC East schedule. I'm gonna keep doing the SEC East. They play SEC East. There's a reason why they won the East like 10 years in a row under Steve Spurrier. I mean, there's a reason why they won like 10 years in a row under Steve Spurrier.
Best division in college football, the SEC West. The second best, the Big Ten East. The third best, the SEC East.
All I know is, I could tell like this here. Um, they run from a. They got a schedule, I think, in 2023 and 2024 on a home and home. That's about time. It's about time. It's about time they actually scheduled us in a home and home because it was getting to the point where they were about to schedule UCF and all. Oh,
We got King Louie on here, and he says, "Hey Mark, speaking to someone who frequents the channel, can we make sure we keep Zoe in the rotation?"
it'd be more on me than it is on Mark. I said it earlier. Mark does a great job. Mark helped me build 1-2-1 out of you family, and he does a great job at bringing on a lot of the Miami guys, and it'd be a lot on me more than it is on Mark. So don't blame Mark for that. I love what he do. I watch his show every week, especially with Killer Cam, Under West, my other Killer Cam. I'll try to get on. I'll try to get on more. Mark is my brother. Like I said, Mark, man, we had a great time last year at Duffy's. We've done some things, but he really we talk off the phone. We talk off the air a lot, and he has a big heart. He has a huge heart, and it's more on me, but I'll try to get in a couple times because I like seeing him give other people shine. Mark is real good at making his platform and giving other people shine, and I enjoy watching him do that. Actually, I've learned a lot from him. I have a young guy on my channel that's 13 years old that we named Young Jedi, and he is a sports he can talk Miami football. So I actually have him as a co-host now. 13 years old, and the young guy is amazing. So I got that from Mark. You know, bring it on, and trying to help out, other people. You know, so but I'll try to get in. I'll try to get in. You know, maybe because he has a full rotation. He has Cam Underwood, Wholesome One, and Paul, all coming from Miami. You know, so that's
Paul on one time. I like to get different people on, different perspectives. Cam and I kind of have a running once a week.
Yeah. Cam is that guy. I think those 2 shows I did with him, like those were my best shows ever.
Those were fun.
Those are my best shows ever.
I just let you guys go at it, and not at it in a bad way, just tear it up, and I just kick back.
I think we brought the best out of each other.
I think so too. It was fun. It's great.
Yeah, I actually had him. I thought he was a fan for a moment. He was a fan for a moment, and I was trying to study his brain and trying to pick his brain, and I think people didn't. You were telling people that I actually knew football. I think people didn't think I knew football until I got on with Cam, and that's nothing I give you respect for, because people thought I was just I didn't understand football. I didn't understand the A gap and B gap. I didn't understand defensive schemes, and when I was breaking defensive schemes down with Cam was like, he understand. Like, people didn't think I understood football until I got on with Cam. So I think that's when people knew that I understood football, and I just wasn't allowed, man. Football. So I give you and Cam a lot of credit for that.
Anytime you and Cam want to come on together, we can make that happen. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I'll come on a couple times. I'll come on a couple times a month. You can schedule me for once a month. If you pencil me in for once a month, I'll come on. Cause like I said, I know you have other Miami guys that you're trying to help out now, and I appreciate that. I'm going to get into some MMA and some boxing. Actually, I'm going to start doing those things. I'm setting my studio up now as we speak in my garage. I'm taking a page out of Uncle Lou book, so I'm setting my studio up now. Getting everything situated now, so I can do better, learn how to edit, which is my weak point.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, but not serious on the rest of them. I think that Miami. I'm gonna take a game at a time. But I truly believe that Miami will win out the rest of the season. And that's not from a fan standpoint. I think that Rick needed that ass whooping. I think he was starting to feel himself a little bit. Sometimes you need to be humbled. I got humbled a couple times last year, and it made me better. Some I think you need to be humble. Yeah. Hurricane Logan, $5 donation. Disappointing loss. It shows we're not where we're as a program. Shows that we're not where we're at a program to blow off and say it's not a big deal. It's dumb. We aren't. Let's say we aren't where we are. Let's say we aren't where we want to be as fans. I don't think it's dumb, Hurricane Logan. I think it's factual. I think when you have if you look at every sport, Michael Jordan lost how many times to the Detroit Pistons before he got over the top?
Mm-hmm.
Boxers, like, even if they don't lose, they work their way into that position for a prize fight. You can't expect an 8-month coaching staff. I'm not disappointed in the loss. I'm disappointed in how we lost. I thought our offense would have played better, but I'm not disappointed in losing to Clemson. I mean, I guess I'm dumb in that standpoint, but I guess I'm a realist as well. Like, Clemson has been stacking talent for how many years, Mark? Like, they've won 2 of the last 4 or 5 national championships.
2 out of 4.
Like, and it's not like they've lost a lot. Yeah. They lost some. People say, well, they got a young offensive line. Those offensive linemen were rotating a lot over the past couple of years. You know, like, they played, and then they were tutored by national championship starting offensive linemen. All of that matters. Cohesiveness matters. So when you play against a program that is championship year in and year out, you know, ACC champions, going to the playoffs, winning in the playoffs, going to national championship games. 2 out of the last 4 national championship games they've been in. I mean, 2 out of 4 they've won, and 4 they've been in 4 national championship games over the past 6 years, 5 or 6 years. And Miami hasn't won a playoff game. I mean, hasn't won a bowl game since we went up to UNLV and beat West Virginia. Well, since we beat West Virginia. Like, so you just don't jump. You don't just jump ahead of this. You don't just jump ahead of people. It's not school. You don't just jump the line. You build that camaraderie. You build that program. Trevor Lawrence has been in that offense for 3 years, starting for 3 years. Like, we as fans have to realize that it's a process. And as long as we don't think it's a process, as long as we don't, then we're gonna overreach for things, and then we're gonna get upset at things that we shouldn't get upset about. It's a process. It takes time. I'm not saying it's going to take 10 years, but what I'm saying is to lose against Clemson is not like we lost against FIU.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, Zoe, I've got some Louisville folks that want me to come on their podcast.
No problem. Tell them
to go on over there at 7:30 and talk some Louisville football. I don't even know where I'm going to be.
Do they still have a football team?
Barely. I think they still trot out there on Saturdays, but doesn't look like they did much practicing.
Oh my gosh! Maybe they need to bring back, what was the quarterback? That won the Heisman and
Lamar Jackson.
Maybe they need to bring back Lamar.
Yeah, Georgia Tech made him look bad.
Georgia Tech, I've told people, if Georgia Tech was to lower their standards for grades,
sure,
for football, would be the scariest team in the Coastal to me when it came to football. And actually, Georgia would have to worry because Atlanta talent is top 5 talent in the nation. By far, top 5 talent in the nation. If they can land those kids from Atlanta and get them to stay in Atlanta at Georgia Tech, just imagine with that spread offense they're running now.
Absolutely.
Just imagine how good Georgia Tech will be. But you have to score like a 25 on your 25 on your ACT, and they don't even go that high. It is so hard to get into that school.
I wouldn't go to school there. I wouldn't have made it. All right.
All right,
Oh, it's
Mark.
been a great time. I appreciate it. You know that. And everybody that doesn't see Zoe enough, you know what the deal is. He's got the open invite. He's always invited here. He's known that for years.
I've told people that. People thought about Mark don't want you on no more. I said, no, Mark doing his thing. I enjoy watching Mark grow and do different things, and I want to continue to see you grow. So, but I'll come on until people get tired of me. I'll come on, but you just continue to grow and God's speed. God bless you and your family and everything. I just want to continue to see you grow and be the voice of college football, man.
It's always appreciated. So God bless you and your beautiful family too.
You need to get that logo made, man. You need to get that logo made. The voice of college football. I need to get trademarked and made somewhere.
You know, my boy made that logo.
Oh, you made it?
Yeah, you can't see it too well right here, but
I'm gonna see you some LED lights.
He drew that up. Oh, I got a lot of work to do with that. This place needs to look so much better.
Just take your time. Just take your time with it, man. Take your time. You have the following. Hey, do me a favor too, man. Yep. Y'all make sure y'all donate. He brings out a lot of content. He brings a lot of I appreciate all donations tonight. He brings a lot of content. He gives a lot of guys opportunities, man. This is not just a hobby. It's a living for Mark. Mark puts his heart into all this, man. Just let's show him let's show him that in return, man. If it's $1 or $2 or whatever, man, donate to the channel, man. If he gets his PayPal put up, hit PayPal because YouTube robs you. But donate to the channel. Make sure that he can continue to do this and continue to bring you the best content that he can bring you, man. And he'll be around for a long time, man. Love you guys always, man.
Thanks, Zoe. You take care. Appreciate you doing this for us.
I appreciate you, my brother.